Hello and thank you for joining us for our tutorial today. Today's tutorial will be making this penny mat. This penny mat pattern can be found free on our website www.calicorabbit.com. Go ahead and click on the top on the freebie section and you'll find that pattern called penny mat. Today's tutorial is going to focus on doing the blanket stitch. So this is our finished mat. And I'm going to go ahead and pull over our working mat. This mat I'm working up in a little bit different colors. We're working this up in a Halloween theme. So I've got a black background and some orange pennies here. The first thing you're going to want to do is, cut out all your pennies. I've got all of my pennies cut out, as you can see over here, and they're all ready to go. And one of the tips I have was from a blogger friend of mine who recommended using a glue stick to hold your pennies in place, and I tried this and I really liked it. Usually I use stick pins or staples. Staples are a little tough to take out, and stick pins are hard to work around because you're working with a loop stitch, which tends to catch your pins. So I've got my regular glue stick here. I'm just going to go ahead and dab a little in the center. We're going to go ahead and stick that on our mat. Now, on this mat, I'm sticking them just about a quarter of an inch from the edge there, maybe a little more. There you go. And that stays on pretty well. And what we're going to do is I'm going to go over how to do this blanket stitching with you. Once you know how to do your blanket stitch, didn't push hard enough on there. Once you do your blanket stitch, once you know how to do the blanket stitch, you can pretty much apply that to any wool applique project. It's pretty much the standardized stitch that we use for all our wool applique. You're going to need yourself some thread. For this project, I'm using DMC number 8 pearl cotton, number 642. Really like working with the pearl cotton, and the number 8 is a great thread for this product. It's a great weight, not too thick and not too thin, and it makes a really great product, and it stands out just enough along both the dark and the light wools to give you a really nice contrast, as you can see on my finished mat, how nice that looks. Okay, to get started, you're going to need your length of thread. I'm working with about 2 feet. You want to keep it a good working length, not too long, otherwise you're going to end up really pulling and stretching, and your loops are going to get a little nutty. Go ahead and knot one end. We're working with a single strand of thread here. And to get started, we're just going to come to our mat, come from the back, and bring your needle up right at the edge of that penny. You don't want to catch the penny. Just bring your needle right through from the back, and just pull that straight through and let your knot catch. As you can see, just pull it right through from the back. And to get started with our first stitch, we're going to go in about a quarter of an inch onto our applique piece. In this case, it's going to be our penny. It's about a quarter of an inch. And you're just kind of doing a little scoop motion. Where you're going to go ahead and put that right through. You are getting through to the back. You're going to go through the back. See right there, my needle coming through the back. And you're going to bring it up right next to, again, that penny where you had it. We want to keep our thread under our needle as we work. We're going to go ahead and pull that through. Now I am working in a counterclockwise position. You can work in whatever direction is comfortable for you. I find it more comfortable to work in this counterclockwise direction, so I'm going to keep my thread in front of me that whole time. And the reason you're doing that is because you're going to have a thread. You're kind of making a chain around your design where you want that thread to catch at the top, see? And it kind of leads that thread along on the outside edge. That's what gives you that nice finished edge on your applique piece. So that's what you're going for. And you can see how easy that stitch is. Make another one right here for you, quarter of an inch in. And just put it right through. Remember, thread goes under your needle and stays in the direction you're working. Pull that right through. Now, if you should forget, I'll show you what happens if you should forget to put that thread through. You will see it right away, and there is an easy fix for it. See, we just did our stitch, but the thread is not under. I'm going to go ahead and pull that through, and you can see how different that looks from the rest of the stitching. And to fix that problem, you're just going to go ahead and loosen that stitch you just made a little bit. Just loosen it a little bit like that and make a thread loop. And just put your needle through. and pull it back down. Wish all our sewing fixes were that easy. And just keep going around. Like I said, this stitch is a very simple stitch to do. It's the basis of all our wool applique, but you don't just have to limit it to wool. It's great if you're doing cotton applique, especially if you're working with a fusible product. This is a great way to finish off those edges on those fusible applique projects. It does give it a real nice, nice finished look. I love the contrast of the stitches. You can do it with matching thread and you won't notice your stitches quite as much. So that's something to think about when you're choosing your threads. You can also do this with embroidery floss, any amount, 2 strands, 3 strands, whatever you like. Or a thicker pearl cotton if you'd like more pronounced stitches. Do this pretty much with anything. And we're going to come around. Keep stitching. I'll show you when we're finished here how to finish off your stitches. You can see once you get your rhythm going how quickly this project works up. You can work up this mat in just a couple hours. Makes a great companion gift if you're giving a jar candle, this little size here. You can also, we've also given you permission to enlarge the pattern or reduce it to make it fit your needs. If you want to make a larger one for a table or for under a lamp, definitely you can do that. Just keeping that thread right in front there. And we're stitching up. And we're coming up to where we started, so I'm going to go ahead and get ready to show you how to finish that off. Okay, looks like, yeah, about 2 more stitches here. So we'll go ahead and keep going. 1/4 inch in, 1/4 inch over. Bring it up through. And we are back around to where we started. Get this last loop up in here. There we go. Okay, here's this last stitch that we just made, and there's our first stitch. So to finish this, we don't want to have a gap here, so we're going to go ahead and put our needle just straight through to the back, right where that first stitch came up. See, that's where our first stitch was. I'm just putting my needle straight through, and I'm just going to pull it straight out the back. And sometimes you just got to work that with your finger just a little bit there. And there you go. And now we've got a continuous stitching all the way around. Cannot tell where you started and where you stopped. To finish this, we're just going to turn our project over. And we're going to go ahead and tie this off. We're just going to go under one of our stitches and pull our thread through. Getting caught in itself. There we go. And I'm going to go ahead and put my needle through and make a knot. And I'm going to do that one more time. Oh, let me catch it. We got to pull it back out. There we go. Put it right through and a knot. And then we're going to go ahead and trim that off. Okay. And that is, now we've got our penny stitch down. Now, you'll be working before you put your backer on. I've got my backing started here for the tutorial purposes, but once you get all your pennies on there, your bottom stack, your second stack, and your third stack, then it's time to go ahead and put our backing on. And to do that, I'm going to show you real quick one more quick finish on our backing. It is a little bit different than sewing on the pennies, but the stitch is the same. You just work it a little bit differently. You make your first stitch that's the same. The only difference is when you're finishing your mat and you're doing your final edges, you're going to go straight up and down to do your blanket stitching, just straight up and down. And if you pull straight out, your thread will always run right along this edge, which is where you want it. If you pull to the back, your stitches are going to tend to fall to the back, so you want to try to keep this up as you go around, just like that. You work all the way around. Again, when you're finished, you're going to go ahead and tie it off and trim your threads, and your mat should look just like this one. If you have any questions, please feel free to contact me through the website. And as always, we thank you for joining us today, and we look forward to seeing you next time. Thanks very much. Have a great day.